Hello everyone, welcome to another video where we grade the X-Record cards. Today, we're going to be grading the black cards. The black cards actually brought in a lot of cards. This is going to be a larger set of cards than other videos. Not by a whole lot. There's a good number of black cards that have been added, which is cool. So let's get to it. Let's grade some cards here. So you guys know we're doing A, B, C, D, F. Let's go on with it. So, Tumblemon, our Digi-Egg, our level 2. It provides 1000 to a Digimon that has blocker on your opponent's turn. That's pretty solid. I like that. I'm gonna give that a grade of a C-. I think it's a solid ability for a baby to have plus 1000 when it fits a whole deck, right? Now 1000's not a great thing. I prefer a draw or a memory. I've said that before, but this fits into the archetype, if you will, of like Digimon that have blocker. Then getting plus 1000 makes them harder to kill because it is on your opponent's turn. I actually kind of prefer this over having plus 1000 when attacking in specific situations. I think this is pretty solid because it just generally gives you blocker plus 1000, makes it harder to kill. Next we have Bearmont and Doramon. Bearmon's going to get a D. It's a drop 2 rush. If this was from like set 1, 1.0, 1.5 for example, this would easily fit into more of a rush deck. But right now there's too many cards that beat it. I'm sure there's a place for rush somewhere, but I don't think so. This is not gonna get a passing grade really. It's gonna receive a D. Whereas Dorumon, which if you trash a card with x-antibody in its traits, you get to draw 2 cards. That's pretty good. This is almost a B card in my opinion. It doesn't have an inheritable, which I would probably prefer, especially for x-antibody. But being able to throw 1 card to draw 2 is a really good ability, which we've seen with Hagurumon, for example. And now you don't have to run Hagurumon with x-antibodies in order to get some draw power. You can go with Dorumon, which gives you that x-antibody stuff. So this is a good card. I like it. I think it fits into decks. You'll probably see it being run with some x-antibody and things like that. Next, we have Taperman and Grizzlymon. Taperman, all turns, if your Digimon has 2 or more colors, all the time will give you plus 1000. I like that. So just whatever your Digimon is, if it's 2 colors, it gets plus 1000. That's good enough for this to receive a C. It's not memory or draw power, but plus 1000 on all the turns is pretty good. I will say that this Taperman will probably be run quite a bit because it's super useful. Digivolution from red and black gives you that black option in red decks, and it has this whole synchronicity with other cards from the set. So I think this is pretty good, pretty solid. Grizzlymon, the only thing it has going for it is that it digivolves for 1, and there's better cards. There's cards that digivolve for 1 that give you blocker. There's cards that digivolve for 1 that might have a higher DP. This is just not a card that I'm going to think gets any play whatsoever right now. There may be a Grizzlymon archetype, but as of right now, that's not the thing. And if it does come out with a Grizzlymon archetype, this would literally only be dragged because of its name. Not worth it at this time. This is an F, no problem. Next, Monochromon. Digivolves for 2 from either black or red. This fits very well with Tapermon, for example. It has 6000 and is a blocker. 6000 DP blocker that digivolves for 2 that you could hard drop for 5 is not a bad thing. This is also a 2-color Digimon. However, when attacking, it does lose 3 memory instead of 2, which is a standard for a blocker. But this card is usually going to be dropped for less than this because there are cards that support digivolving into color cards later coming up in the video. And you don't want to really be attacking with your blocker anyway. You only have to swing if it's for game. For example, with this Monochromon, on top of a Tapermon, it's actually going to be blocking for 7000. Which is not a terrible thing. I like Monochromon. Monochromon is going to get a C+ grade. It's pretty good. Next, Raptordramon, which is also an X-antibody card. Digivolves for 2, swings for 6000. It's not bad, but its inheritable is actually really good. At the end of the attack, if this Digimon has Alphamon in its name, you can delete your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 5 or less. You get a free deletion. There's no limit to it. You don't need to use it once per turn. You can literally unsuspend with Alphamon. Swing again and kill another Digimon. This is a pretty good ability. I'm going to be generous and give this a B. I think this is a B level card. Deleting a play cost 5 or less Digimon is pretty strong. This fits into the X-antibody archetype. Its price is not ridiculous. This is a good card. I like it. I like it a lot. So far, the highest graded card of this set. Loader Leomon is an F. Literally, the only thing it has going for it is that it has Leomon name, so it has some synergy with the Leomon cards. But other than that, this is 7,000 Digivolves for 2. I'd rather have something else in there. You're not gonna be swinging with this type of Leomon. This is terrible. I don't get this. Greymon gets a B- for its grade. When Digivolving, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You can add a card with Alphamon. So this Greymon searches for Alphamon, as well as the x-antibody card that you can put under your Digivolution card when Digivolving, of course. This is pretty good. I like this. It searches, it gives more resources into your x-antibody cards, which is what you want to do. You want to put more cards under, if it's, of course, an x-antibody type. And if this Digimon has Alphamon in its name, you can delete your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 5 or less. So this is like Raptordramon, but plus a when Digivolving effect. So this fits really well with Raptordramon, and you could literally just keep any small Digimon from being on the field with both Greymon and Raptordramon. This gets a B-. Next, Megadramon and Alphamon. So Megadramon here has a when Digivolving effect to delete one of your opponent's Digimon Tamers with a play cost of 7 or less. So it won't be taking out any memory Tamers anytime soon. But it does take out some of those pesky smaller Tamers, which is pretty good. And then it has when attacking, if this Digimon has Machine or Dragonkin, for example, War Greymon or Machine Dramon in its traits, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers with a play cost of 3 or less. So I see this card being played in Machine Dramon decks pretty well. It Digivolves for 4, which is kind of expensive. That's going to kind of go against it. If this was for 3, it would be way, way better. But it's already pretty strong just deleting Tamers with its inheritable and with its Digivolving. It's going to receive a C right now just because it is kind of expensive and kind of niche. But I do see this card being played quite a bit. This card's probably being run again with Machine Dramons more than anything. I think there's no space for it in, for example, Black War Greymon decks, but you may see 1 or 2 in it. Black War Greymon's already kind of taken out Tamers on the anyway, and it takes out Tamers better than play cost of 3. But this is still a pretty good ability and a pretty good inheritable, even though it's limited to only play cost of 3. It's still really good. Next, Alphamon is going to receive a B+. This is a card that is key. Need this card. Play a card with x-antibody in its trace from your trash under this Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. Usually happens with x-antibody cards all the time. You want to keep adding your resources because you're going to get more checks, more abilities, more securities, things like that, more DP. Less. Also, on your turn, once per turn, when an effect places a Digivolution card under this Digimon, de-Digivolve 1. So you can literally Digivolve into Alphamon, put a card under it, add to your resources, and de-Digivolve your opponent. This is for a cost of Digivolution of 3. That's really good. Alphamon is going to be seeing some play. I like this card a lot for what it does. In a vacuum, it's very strong. In its and in its archetype, it's pretty strong. Alphamon is going to be getting a B+, almost an A in this series. Raidenmon is going to get a C-. It can Digivolve from a level 6 for only 2. It can Digivolve for a level 5 for just 4. 6 for 12, not great in all of those categories. You can side Digivolve, of course. But you can also on-play or Digivolve, put a Raijin, Fuijin, and Suijin from your trash under the Digimon to gain 1 memory for each. Potentially gaining you 1 memory if you Digivolve from a level 6, or potentially Digivolving for just 1 from a level 5 if you have all those cards in security. But remember, those are all level 6s as well, so they're kind of hard to trash. Unless you have some way of milling them or putting them in the trash, which purple mainly does. This is a black card. Won't be doing that a whole lot. When attacking, if the level 6 card is the Digimon's Digivolution cards, have 3 or more colors among them, which each of these Digimon will give you that, no problem. You have 3 more colors. This Digimon gets plus 3,000, so swings for 15 until the end of your opponent's turn. And if they have 4 more colors, the Digivolve 1. Its ability is good. I like what it does. I just think it's too specific to be getting anything more than a C. This card is going to be locked out of a B or A. Definitely not going to get that. Just because it is hard to get all of these things in the trash, to get them all to trigger. You have to kind of go out of your way in order to activate this. I don't like that. But the abilities that you do get with it are pretty good. Next, our first A is going to be Gaiomon. Gaiomon Digivolves for 5, swings for 13. It's treated as if it was a Greymon card, so you can search for it. And it Digivolves for 2 from a Black War Greymon. It's also an X-antibody. A lot of things go away. It gets security attack plus 1. It can check multiple cards. It gets reboot at the end of your turn, so if you swing and then you end your turn, it will stand back up and won't be able to be targeted unless your opponent can bring into standing Digimon. And then when Digivolving, if you have a black source, de-Digivolve one on your opponent's Digimon, and if this Digimon has a red Digivolution card, Blitz. This card is outstanding. Security +1, reboot, de-Digivolve, and Blitz all when Digivolving. That's incredible. You can literally blitz, security checks, stand back up, and at the same time de-Digivolve one of your opponent. And if you have your Metal Greymon that's similar to standing Digimon, and for example, the piercing of a Metal Greymon, you can do a whole lot of damage with this Digimon. I really like Gaiamon. It's black and red. It's a Black War Greymon. Fits into the Greymon deck. It's going to have a lot of synergy. This one, now that I think about it, this is probably just a strong A. I don't think it's an A-. I do wish it wasn't so expensive, but you do get a lot of abilities to go with it. And if you're blitzing, then it doesn't matter. You're probably passing your turn, but you're doing a lot of damage to your opponent along with that passing of the turn, giving them this memory. You might even be able to finish the game with this. So, kudos. Next, buy Human. Play cost is 13, Digivolve for 5, 13 DP, pretty strong. But Digivolves for a lot. However, when Digivolving, you can unsuspend up to 2 of Digimon and or Tamers for yourself. And then you gain 1 memory for each of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon and Tamers. So the more your opponent has, the more memory you gain off of this. So it could potentially be pretty cheap to Digivolve into. Thanks for a lot. At the end of your turn, once per turn, for every 2 unsuspended Digimon and or Tamers your opponent can play, you can trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's security stack. So it starts to mill your opponent. I like that a lot. By Human is actually pretty cool. It's gonna get a B- from me. I don't think it's a top end card that's going to be run in a lot of decks, but in a vacuum, I think this card is pretty strong. It does quite a lot. You gain memory, you trash security. What's not to like? You can push yourself closer to victory with this card, which is one of those things that gets you a high grade in my opinion. Next, Alphamon Ryuken gets an A, no doubt. So the way you get this card is you Digivolve it from an Alphamon with Ryuken, and they will Digivolve for just 3 cost, which is pretty cheap compared to the 7 that it normally would get. This is one of those cards that actually has higher than 15,000 DP. The first one that I've seen, that I remember at least, that has a natural 16,000 DP. Pretty strong. In addition to that, when you Digivolve, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. This is like an Iron Fist, destroying your highest play cost on your opponents. Can turn the tables pretty easily. That's a pretty strong ability just on its own. And then, at the end of your turn, once per turn, you may return up to 7 non-Digi-Egg cards with X-antibody in their traits from this Digimon's Digivolution cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. And if you do, gain 1 memory for each card returned. So potentially, if you have a big old stack with a lot of X-antibody Digimon, you could gain all of this back and not end your turn, which is incredible. This is a super strong card. I see this playing for X-antibody. If you have an X-antibody deck, you're running this Alphamon with the other X-antibody cards. No question about it. Every single card in that deck will be X-antibody. They'll all be black. This is an insanely powerful ability. I like it a lot. And of course, there's nothing stronger than it. So check it into security against the black X-antibody deck. You better have the DP. Next, Daigo and Maki. These are okay Tamers. They both play for 3. I'm going to give Daigo a C-, however. I don't think it's going to be played a lot. When an opponent's Digimon becomes unsuspended during the main phase, you can suspend this Tamer to gain 1 memory. It's not a whole lot of cards that do that. Mainly blue. This is mainly more of a blue-specific counter. And then when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a black level 6, it gains blocker. If you have a Black War Greymon, you may turn it into a blocker with that, but you'd rather just have the inherited ability from the Greymon, for example. I think there's a place for this card somewhere. I just don't know where that is. So it's going to get a C-. It's barely passing. But honestly, I could see myself not passing it, but putting it down to a D or an F. Maki is definitely better. It's a B-. You reveal the top 3 cards from your deck. You add a Tapermon if you're running Tapermon. And you add 1 2-color black card among them to your hand. You place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order that you like. And then on your turn, one of your Digimon could Digivolve into a 2-color black Digimon. You can suspend this Tamer to reduce the cost by 1. So you no longer need Nokia to Digivolve into Black War Greymon so much. You can have Maki and Digivolve for 1 cheaper. You can also use her to Digivolve into the Monochromon, the black and red one that we talked about, or the Megadramon. the Digivolves for expensive. Maki's good. It makes some cards playable. It makes Tapermon kind of like you might consider running it in some situations because that one to plus 1,000 all turns, pretty good. Maki is solid. It gets a B minus. Let's move on to the options. Attack of the heavy mobile Digimon. Plays for 0. It reads, you may trash one card with Cyborg or Machine in its traits in your hand to have all of your level 6 Digimon with Machine in their traits gain Rush. And on play, if this Digimon has a Digivolution card, Blitz. So it gives Rush and potentially Blitz. Don't really care for that too much. This is going to get a C. It is nice to have Rush and Blitz in some situations. This is obviously meant to be played with cyborg machines like Digimon and its whole family. Maybe being played off of Chaos Ramon. But yeah, this is not great. I don't see a lot of people running this, but I do think somebody will find a place for it, which is why it doesn't fail. I think somebody will definitely make a deck annoying enough to play these. Right? Its security ability is that you may trash one Digimon card with Cyborg or Machine to delete one of your opponent's Digimon whose play cost is less than or equal to the trash card's played. Solid. Next, Kongu. Probably my favorite option in the whole set. Gets a grade of an A. Its play cost is only 2. Super cheap. Until the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 7 or less can't attack players. And cards can't be added to security stacks by your opponent's effects. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're playing yellow and it happens to search its deck and pull out a card, if you played Kongu, they are not allowed to return a card to put a card back in their security. They just lost a card. That is huge. I love this card. Play cost 7 or less, gets stunned essentially. And then you can't add security. Playing against yellow, this is a must-have. You should be running Kongu. You're going to see Kongu quite a bit. It's not quite an Ice Wall. It's not quite a stunning situation, like for blockers, for example. But it's just really, really good. Do not allow your opponent to recover after having looked into the security. And to keep any level 7 or less from attacking could be game changing. Right? You can definitely use this to give yourself another turn. You can use this in security to stun the rest of the attacks that your opponent may have. It's a really good card. I like it a lot. Last but not least, we have X Digivolution and Soul Digitalization. X Digivolution gets a C-. I think this card will be played, but I feel like it's a little too specific. The way it reads is if you have a Digimon with x-antibody in its traits in play, you can use it. And what you do is you rebuild the top 3, and you can Digivolve one of your Digimon to a card with x-antibody in its traits by paying a memory cost. You trash the rest, and then you place one card with x-antibody in its traits from your trash under 1. It's pretty good. You Digivolve almost like the way that blue card does, except it's only searching the top 3, or like the way that a lot of green decks do is to look at the top 3, and you're like, okay, cool, I have a target, I can Digivolve into it, and then you can place one card with x-antibody under it, essentially adding a resource and letting you Digivolve off the top of your deck. I can see that being pretty useful. It's not a terrible thing, and I feel like some x-antibody decks might run 1 or 2, but other than that, I don't see this card seeing a lot of play. And then Soul Digitalization gets a B-. The way it works is you reveal the top 3. You can choose a Digimon card with x-antibody and delete one of your opponent's Digimon whose play cost is less than or equal to the chosen play cost. Then you trash those cards, and then you place one card with x-antibody traits from your trash under one of your Digimon. So you can kill something, and then you can put it under your search. I'm sorry, not in the search. Under your x-antibody card. That's pretty strong for a play cost of 5. That's absolutely worth it. If you pull up an Alphamon that way, you can put it with its ability under your Digimon, and then you can kill something that's weaker than it if that's what you choose to do. You can do a lot with this. B- card. I think we'll play this. It might feel to you like it's very specific, and that is because it is. But the x-antibody deck as a whole is very specific. Therefore, this fits in very well with that deck. I can see this card being part of that, no problem. It's a little expensive, which is why it doesn't get an A. If it was a little bit cheaper, this would be a broken card that you should run a lot of. And that's it for this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at our goal of 100. We're really close. Please make sure that you press that subscribe button if you're willing. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.